Hello there. The church at Stow, Bardolph, just outside Downham Market, is, on the face of it, quite unremarkable. The medieval west tower is built of local carved stone and must once have dominated the busy main road from London to King's Lynn. Carved stone is the local building material in this part of Norfolk, and it occurs in a thin outcrop which runs down the west side of the county and is probably best known for its appearance at the cliffs of Hunstanton. In 1850, the church was restored at a cost of £2,100, an amount that could build a brand new church in those days. Actually, a new church is more or less what they got, as almost every surface was scraped and renewed, so that the interior of the church today has a very Victorian feel to it. At the east end of the nave, the scene is dominated by the Creed, Lord's Prayer and Ten Commandments, as were dictated by law at the time. Both the pulpit and the altar were part of the work and carved of carved stone from Normandy. The wooden screen that separates the nave from the chancel was carved by a local carpenter, and although the local tradition is that it is copied from one at Willingham in Cambridgeshire, it's not. Don't you just love local legends? In the chancel of the church are two fine medieval misericords, tip-up seats, that have been incorporated into the Victorian carpentry. This one depicts a man holding a beast's mouth wide open. I often wonder if he's looking into the mouth to see or try and find something that the beast has swallowed. The second is a much more dramatic scene of two men fighting, pulling each other's clothes, and one of them's trying to trip the other one over. Was this a scene that was commonplace in medieval Stow Bardolph? On the end of one of these benches, we can see a beautifully carved hare, which are still relatively common on the fenlands around here. But it's not just as a local animal that this is depicted, for this is the symbol of the hare family, who have been here since the 16th century. They were already prominent as government officials. For example, Nicholas Hare was Speaker of the House of Commons at the time of the dissolution of the monasteries. He was also Master of the Rolls and Keeper to Princess Mary, later Queen Mary Tudor. The Hares reportedly spent £40,000 building a manor house here at Stow Bardolph. When Sir John Hare died in 1637 at the age of 34, the estate was inherited by his son Ralph. However, Sir John, who had been knighted in 1617, was wealthy enough to give each of his other sons enough money to purchase an estate each. Other Norfolk families, the Townsends, the Lestranges, the Spelmans and Bedingfields, all received gifts from Sir John's will. The last line of his will says, "I shut up my worldly business, giving thanks to God for the large measure of his bounty bestowed upon me in life." Sir John had already built a chapel onto the church in 1624 as, and I quote, "a spacious dormitory for the interment of myself and my family." This was added to the north side of the chancel in that rare form of Gothic that we call Gothic survival. In other words, using architecture that had gone out of fashion 2 generations earlier. It's often used to show a link with the past, to show that the family is serious and dependable. Sir John Hare had inherited substantial sums of cash from relatives and had married a daughter of the First Lord Coventry. His colourful monument of painted alabaster above me shows this wealth. His son Ralph was created a baronet in 1641. He was an MP for Norfolk and for King's Lynn during the period of the Restoration and had 3 wives, dying at the age of 49. His son Thomas enjoyed the baronetcy for 22 years, dying in 1693. He's represented in the chapel by this effigy over my shoulder, probably by Grinling Gibbons. It shows Thomas in white marble lying in Roman armour as if in mid-conversation. The inscription plate records that his widow ordered the memorial. She was from the famous Dashwood family, importers of Eastern silks. His daughter Susanna is shown in a tall architectural composition, lying on a cushion, staring vacantly into space. On the right hand of the memorial is the signature of its sculptor, Peter Scheemakers. He came to England from Antwerp in 1716 and was regarded the finest sculptor of his day. There are no less than 15 works by him in Westminster Abbey alone. His son Thomas also became a sculptor. Nearby is the standing monument to the wife of another Thomas, Mary, who died in 1801. It shows a figure of hope leaning forlornly against an urn, and just behind my head you can see a torch being extinguished, a very common symbol of death at the time. Her father was an admiral of the fleet, Sir Francis Geary, from West Peckham in Kent. Thomas Hare married again, and this monument to his second wife takes the form of the 3 figures of faith, hope, and charity. Like his first wife, Anne Elizabeth was also the daughter of an admiral. This monument is by William Theed, who was one of the favourite sculptors of Queen Victoria and Prince Albert. However, the best known memorial in the church lies hidden in a mahogany cupboard next to the private doorway into the chapel. It's a wax effigy of Sarah Hare, who died at the age of 18 in 1744. Her will, signed the previous year, gave specific instructions as to how she wished to be remembered. It's the only wax effigy to be found in a parish church and probably incorporates some of Sarah's own clothes. It was conserved about 40 years ago and is now looking absolutely splendid.